Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
From these contributing sponsors and viewers like you, thank you.
This time on Broad and High, meet an artist who is driven to help others in his work that he hopes will inspire conversation and encourage healing. And hear a band that invites you to fully immerse your senses. This and more right now on Broad and High. Welcome to Broad and High. I'm your host, Kate Quickle. Jeremy Rosario is an artist who uses his creative talent to connect people and lift them up. Whether it be addressing a health crisis or a natural disaster, using art as a transformational tool is at the heart of everything he does. Let's learn more.
Growing up in Puerto Rico, I was immersed in a really beautiful culture of people that are connected. As a child, I grew up in poverty, and I always found art as an escape to allow me to dream and create innovation and think different about everything that was in front of me. Helping people in my artwork, it was fueled by a necessity to redefine art. You know, art, it's all around us. It's what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we feel. And yet, when we can use those tools strategically, it can really help change behavior. There's nothing more beautiful than to love people, and the moment that you show genuine interest, magically people open up and they share their frustrations, their heartaches, their joys, and it becomes part of a conversation. The Grace Clinic is an amazing medical ministry, and as a platform, they're providing free medical help as well as prescription medications for people without insurance. I volunteer there as a translator. Sometimes I joke about it, they're gonna fire me, but you know, we're all volunteers. Doctors are volunteers there, nurses. And I think being an artist, I'm always inquisitive I wanna learn more about you. You know, I'm really interested about you. So tell me more about your life. And you get to create relationships with a lot of these patients. As I was engaging in conversation, I will ask the patients, hey, if today's the last day you see me, what words of advice or wisdom will you give me, okay? And their eyes were like, whoa, I've never been asked that. But here's why I wanted to do that. I think that every human is so valuable. And you know, when I was growing up, I remember some of the people that grew up near me, regardless if there was poverty or stress, or they all understood the power of connecting. And some of the most beautiful wisdom came from those who were hurting the most. Not from a CEO, not from a thought leader. Instead, the salt of the earth, these people that are just beautiful. So I started this initiative. I wanted to do paintings, oil paintings of a lot of these patients. As I would talk to them, you know, they gave me some words of advice. I would write it down in my sketchbook, take a picture, do a couple of sketches. And that became a body of work that was very moving for me personally as an artist. The exhibit was really powerful because in the middle of the gallery, I had two chairs, and I had written between these two chairs, share your most treasured advice. And I didn't plan for this, but as people were visiting the exhibit, they were writing their own thoughts of advice and taping them all over the floor. So in a matter of weeks, you know, the floor was covered with sticky notes and just beautiful messages of hope and messages of positivity. I'm working on this really exciting project with my daughter that we call ABCs of Encouragement for Girls. It's a book that helps to inspire and build up and edify young girls. We're creating art through words, through illustrations that are meant to encourage and help them feel secure. And each page is going to include just the right building block of a word that allows any caregiver to spend some time unpacking what that word means to them. Since I'm always experimenting with things, I keep a sketchbook where I'm doing doodles out of coffee. And for the letter Q in the book, I wanted this idea of being quick. inspired by hurdles in track and field. One thing that I'm inspired by athletes to do hurdles. Obviously, you gotta run real fast, jump, run real fast, and do it again, right? So the thought that there is space between hurdles, recover, plan, and go again, I think it's a beautiful analogy for life. And the message that I have in the illustration is be quick to learn from yesterday and go forward tomorrow. You got it. I hope that it opens a deep conversation about times in life when you encounter a roadblock and how do you get around it or jump over it, right? I hope that this encourages kids to open up about the realities of that they're facing. Why are they sad? And share their hearts out, and hoping that we can change a generation. I think it's our role to create escapes through art, to help them transform their minds into a new beginning, a new hope of encouragement and purpose. You can imagine, I mean, because we saw images here on TV of the devastation that Category 4 hurricane brought to the island. I mean, my mom tells me when she opened the door after the hurricane, seeing hundreds of dead birds everywhere, and like somebody had ran a giant lawnmower all over the island. I mean, everything was down. So I wanted to bring some help, and the first thing that came to mind was creating a silkscreen piece of art to raise funds to send supplies. We were gathering boxes, we were sending them to those locations, and I had a couple of friends who will gather them and then go and deliver to houses. The idea of getting myself out of my comfort zone to use the only tools that I have, which is art and thinking, to try to mitigate that need, it was beautiful just to see the results of it. But soon this became a bigger initiative that I really wasn't expecting. That was just phase one. And the moment that things were moving good and people were getting what they needed, we decided to go down, because obviously it was a crazy need that people had. So I put together a group of volunteers from Ohio to go and rebuild roofs. In Sonia's house, it was very evident that how the cracks, in that town of Macau, it rains every day, so water comes down, which is a fire hazard with, the electrical. So she was not turning her lights on and everything. We knocked on the door and told her, we're here from Ohio, we want to help maybe work on your roof to seal it. And her face, the eyes opened wide, and she started crying. She said, you don't understand that yesterday I lost my hope in God, and I've been crying every night, crying out, and because of her circumstances. And today 12 strangers show up out of nowhere. We found in the backyard a garden gnome, a Santa Claus garden gnome wearing a Hawaiian shirt. And I have a painting of him holding we call it Nick, because St. Nicholas, but wearing a Hawaiian shirt. But in the execution of that oil painting, what you see is some monochromatic blue values behind the oil, and it creates this really ethereal presence of the image. And that was really meant to capture families live for over a year under blue tarps. So when you got into their spaces and see how they lived, the inside of the home had this beautiful blue glow that me as an artist, I was inspired by it, but obviously people that you're living in this condition is not favorable, because it doesn't really keep you out of the rain, they don't seal perfectly. But that painting I love because of the composition, and it's chalk and a message of visual hope actually into the island, and then seeing the blue around it, it's really powerful. I think that my genuine passion and pursuit for people, I understand the power of the visual image, the power of color, the power of composition. And a lot of times to really bring the right message to the heart of that person, it may be a different media for different people. It takes a little bit of courage as an artist, because a lot of times I approach things have never done those particular media before. And a perfect example, I'm working on a really important art exhibit, probably a work that I'm extremely proud of, but it involves gluing objects into a canvas. And it's a different mind-twisting exercise in my mind because I'm gluing things down and I'm analyzing shapes, I'm analyzing values, stepping back and really thinking about is it the right placement to communicate the emotion. So it has been challenging for me, but I'm really happy with the result of where this body of work is heading. We Puerto Ricans, we love people, we love this experience, and it doesn't mean that my life is perfect. You know, we all struggle with you know, the things of life, sickness and job loss, or you name it, you know. They're all in there. But if we move away from that and focus more in the emotional aspect of connecting with a greater humanity, we can make a better world. That's at the heart of how I like to approach art through life, because it's a part of me. And if I don't do it, I won't be happy.
To see more of his work, find him on Facebook at jrosario.arte. Spending time in nature means hiking for some and birdwatching for others. Visitors to Allwood Audubon in Dayton, Ohio can also add viewing an art exhibition to the list. Thanks to artist Thomas Dambo, a special family has made Allwood's hiking trails their home. Dambo, who is from Copenhagen, Denmark, is the world's leading recycle artist. He's been helping giant trolls come to life around the world for 10 years. The Troll That Hatched an Egg is the name of his permanent exhibit at Allwood and is one of only 9 Dambo-created exhibitions in North America.
Allwood is a nature sanctuary and farm of the National Audubon Society, and our mission is environmental education that connects children of all ages with nature, birds, wildlife, and bird-friendly farming.
I really love the intersection between science, conservation, and art, and I think that if those things can work together, they can impact a much broader audience than any of those can individually. And so I think it's really exciting to have art at a place like Allwood.
Thomas Dambo, this world-renowned recycle artist from Denmark, he's written this story called The Great Story of the Little People and the Giant Trolls. And what he's creating is a worldwide fairy tale. Everyone loves a fairy tale. This story is all about what the little people need to learn. We're the little people. And I kind of love that perspective, you know, that we are the little people and the trolls are wise and they are teaching us. And so Thomas goes around the world making his trolls and sharing this message of wisdom from the trolls to protect the earth, to take something that maybe you think is trash and make it something meaningful and something beautiful. And that's actually what he did with our trolls here.
The name of the installation overall is The Troll That Hatched an Egg. The trolls are named Bibi, Bo, and Bodil, and all of their names start with the letter B because birds starts with the letter B. The story that Thomas wrote for Allwood's Trolls really revolves around this cardinal, this bird that the trolls befriend. Bibi, the daughter, is out in the woods and she sees these metal things fall from the sky. And she also notices this metal bird that she thinks is a bird, but it's really an airplane because we're close to the Dayton airport. And these metal things falling from the sky were obviously the metal bird's eggs. And so she ran and got her mother and said, "Mom, these metal eggs have fallen out of the sky. We've got to hatch them." So they go off and they build this giant troll nest and they put the eggs in there and they try to hatch them and nothing happens. So Bibi's very upset by this, and she thinks the only solution, really, is to go up in the sky and get that metal bird to come down and get her eggs. So she sneaks off into the woods and builds herself wings. She's been watching how the birds fly, so of course that's a little nod to the Wright brothers. And she goes up to the top of the hill by the prairie and takes off up into the sky to find the metal bird and bring her back down. So that's kind of the basics of the story of our trolls here at Allwood. All of the bodies are made out of old pallet wood. We collected thousands of sticks and pieces of logs, and we pulled grapevines from farms next door to us and all kinds of crazy things. And then Thomas built the faces of the trolls out of dollar store shelves he found in dump store in Denmark. And so he built the faces and the feet in Denmark in his shop. And then he shipped them to us on a container. And then when you opened up the doors, there were just giant faces and huge feet in the back of the trailer. So that was a lot of fun.
Thomas likes to have a certain number of volunteers. He's done this for years now. He knows what works well for him and his team. Our volunteers had a lot of different skills. They ranged in age from 18 to 81. Some of them were engineers, many were retired teachers, one was a college student, and they just brought this really fresh perspective and excitement that was very contagious.
Nanita contacted my wife and said, "Hey, we've got this secret project coming up. Do you know anybody who likes to work with their hands and who likes to be outside?" And my wife said, "I absolutely do." There's a lot of prefabrication that went into each troll. A couple of weeks were spent cutting up big water container pallets and painting those to be the wings, and all of the fur and the skin had to be cut down from pallet boards and things like that. The nest was a lot of fun to work on too. There's a lot of troll language carving around the nest, and if I remember correctly, Thomas Dambo has a book about the trolls that has the troll language in it. So you could track down that book and translate the writing down at the nest and see what they had to say about it.
Since I was retired, I was able to do about 4 days a week for the whole, I was here pretty much the whole month. Yeah. And I would have done more too, because it was very exciting to come every day and see the progression, because you really didn't know what they were going to look like when they were finished. The dad got finished first, Bo. My job for Bo was clean up on aisle 5. I basically was asked to pick up when they're working, this crew's amazing. They're climbing all over the structure, and when they're working, there's wood flying everywhere. So I collected the wood, made sure to get everything out of the stream. And then for some reason, I was put on stick patrol. So when they did the hair for all of the trolls, you were sent out into the woods and you had to collect fallen branches and then bring them back and cut them in certain sizes, and the next thing you know, you've got this gorgeous hairdo on Bo or on Mom to help with her hairdo. And then the one that's the funniest one is Bibi, the baby. I'd found a pine tree that had died, and I held it up and said, "What do you think about this?" And she was perfect. She stuck it right in the back of Bibi's hair. So if you go out there and you look around the back side of Bibi, there's this one wild hair pine tree sticking out.
We've had just an incredible response from the public. I mean, our gate has gone up, I think, something like 700% since the Trolls opened last November. And I just love the reaction that the public's having. People are coming here from all over the country, all over the world.
The trolls will be here at Allwood as long as we can maintain them and preserve them. And as Thomas says, someday they will go back to the earth. So I think they'll be here for several years at least. The takeaway from visiting the troll that hatched an egg is the belief that they can make something beautiful out of recycled materials or trash, and that they too can do something to protect the earth, to preserve the earth, and to cherish the earth. We only get one.
To learn more, visit allwood.audubon.org. The OG Players, short for Observation Generation, is a band that is known for combining a loop station, a trombone, and sometimes a violin with smooth vocals and hip-hop beats. They recently visited our studio to record a session for Broad and High Presents. Let's take a listen.
Observation. Generation. Observation. Generation. Observation. Generation. Observation.
Yeah.
Generation.
What's the definition of truth? They say it's the quality, a state of being true, or that which is true and important is to the fact of reality of, I guess, me and you. They say it's a body of real things, events and the facts that actuality brings. The fidelity of the original, the standard, sincerity in action. What does it really mean? Transcendence of fundamentals of the mental on earth before we leave. Nowadays, I don't know what to believe. Do I believe what they believe? If they believe, it's make-believe. Truth. Sick of this earth, wish I could leave. On my way, I pray for the ones really in need. Oops, embrace truth. It's like you got no class. It doesn't matter, life so fast. Now tell me, does it matter if it's true or are they lies? If it's my truth, then where's the love? I've been searching all my life. Tell me, does it matter if it's true or are they lies? If it's my truth, then where's the love? I've been searching all my life. Tell me, does it matter what the definition of lie is? Ironically, has a double meaning behind it. One means lay down, other deceive the iris. If you searching, then you will find this. To recline and rest, become motionless. To reside with sex, if it's used with, lie with. That's what they say, or you could get it from your highness. Lie means false or mislead with kindness. I swear some people are wearing blinders, diving into a pool full of piranhas, hitting notes like they divas and prima donnas. I lay in my layers like I'm an onyx, stone cold with the flow and kick it with shamans. Most lying out there, it doesn't matter, life so fast. Now tell me, does it matter if it's true or are they lies? If it's my truth, then where's the love? I've been searching all my life. Tell me, does it matter if it's true or are they lies? If it's my truth, then where's the love? I've been searching all my life. Tell me, does it matter?
Generation.
Does it matter? Truth. Does it matter?
Observation. Generation.
Does it matter
Observation.
if it's true or are they lies? If it's my truth, then where's the love? I've been searching all my life. Tell me, does it matter if it's true or are they lies? If it's my truth, then where's the love? I've been searching all my life. Tell me, does it matter?
Observation. Generation.
Does it matter?
Observation.
Do you matter?
To hear more from OG Players, find them on Instagram at the OG Players. Well, that is our show. Remember, you can find all of our stories online at WOSU.org, as well as on our YouTube channel. For all of us here at WOSU, I'm Kate Quickle. Thanks for watching.
Observation.
Yeah.
Generation.
I'm an OG, yeah. OG, yeah. OG like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi. OG, yeah. OG, yeah. OG like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi. OG, yeah. OG, yeah. OG like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi. OG, yeah. OG, yeah. OG like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. I'm the OG, you know me, the whole heap. Speak to Mowgli's on dope beats that don't see. I'm the OG that go deep, then go eat. I'm the Woody that go sleep with Bo Peep. Yeah, the flow is so sweet. Coke for the broke, they love it like OE. Oh, you don't be funny, you owe me. You OD'd off of my dope, you old leech. Yeah, plus my vision in whole reach, but I'm stuck in the back of the pen with some old sheep. Tripping like they ingested the whole sheet. Burning passion now, fasten your whole seat.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.